Streaming some OpenRCT2. For those who don't know, this game is essentially an open source version of Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, and um, yeah, it allows you to enable some cheats and essentially hack the game in a way. That might not be the right word, hack the game, but um, you can do some cool stuff with it. It's much more powerful than the original versions of Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. Um, Besides that, you're able to import the original RCT scenarios. So, as you can see here, we have the Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, 1, as well as the expansion packs, Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, and then the expansion packs for that. All of the real parks from the original Roller Coaster Tycoon, which are the three European parks here, as well as the Six Flags parks from RCT2. And then you have the build your own versions, Fort Anchorism, which is a large map as well. But we're going to start with the original Roller Coaster Tycoon. I'm going to try to play the scenarios one by one as faithfully as possible. And what I mean by that is not enabling cheats as much as possible. And I do apologize if there is a lot of background noise here. I have a very primitive setup. I am in my basement, so there is a washing machine going right now. A furnace will be going on, so you may be able to hear that. Um, but yeah, we're going to play as faithfully as possible, starting with Forest Frontiers. As you can see, I disabled getting into the other parks here until the previous ones are done, just like the original Roller Coaster Tycoon. Although I do believe, I could be wrong, in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, you may have been able to get to all the parks right away. As you can see, there's beginner, challenging, and then expert. But some cheats will be enabled. They will not really affect the gameplay or the scenarios at all, but they'll be enabled just because it allows a little bit more creativity with the ride layouts and such things. And also, along those lines, I'm going to try to create as many of the custom coasters as possible, as opposed to kind of cookie cutter already in the game layouts. But there will be some exceptions to that, I'm sure. So we'll go ahead. We'll start with Forest Frontiers. So we'll just pause this really quickly. This essentially, it's not a tutorial park, but it is the first one in the game. You only need 250 guests by the end of year one, which in the game, a year is about equal to an hour's worth of gameplay, and you also have to meet a park rating of 600. One cheat that I will enable here will show right away. We will enable, there is an option here that once you, um, I believe once you hit that threshold of guests and once you hit that park rating, you can um, essentially win the scenario. So that'll save some time. I know that it's part of the game that, let's say on this map I got 250 guests, but maybe, I was at 250 guests and a 600 park rating, but by the end of the year, that park rating went down. So ways to keep your park ratings up are to keep your park clean, keep the rides running, essentially give the guests a good experience. So if you have well over that guest threshold, instead of putting in new rides, you can hire more staff or such things like that. But if I can find the option here, I'm gonna make it so that, let's see, unless this is something that I thought was a thing, but maybe it really wasn't a thing. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Was it in here? No. Um, yeah, I thought it was a thing, but maybe I was just thinking it. Never mind that. What we will do is we will probably either, if we hit that, I'll either force win the scenario or I'll just go to the speed option here and I'll speed time up. Because if you think about it, an hour's worth of gameplay is quite a bit. And if we're at year two and it's a 3 year type of scenario, that would be a whole extra hour of gameplay. Not that I'm trying to short it at all, but some cheats we will enable here. So we're going to leave money alone. Um, Yeah, we're not going to mess with any of that. And if you've never seen this before, these are just some things that you can allow. One thing I do like to do is I like to go through the scenarios. I did build like a full fledged version of Forest Frontiers. I used up most of the land. And the plan is to kind of go through the scenarios. I may revisit them later and build them up a little bit, fix them up, and make them nice parks. But if you want to play this game in a sandbox type of mode, but you don't want to deal with the scenario, one way you could do that is you can definitely go into the options here and either switch it to have fun or force win the scenario. Um, we will allow chain lifts on all track pieces. This will just give me a little bit more freedom with that. That won't really affect the gameplay at all. I will disable brakes failure, although I do expect most of my coasters to have block zones and such things. Um, yeah, and those are the only two things that I'm going to enable here. Like I said, I want to play these scenarios as true as possible. Um, and another thing I'll do is, for instance, there is a YouTube video you can watch online of somebody winning Forest Frontiers with just a single carousel right about here. I won't be showing any ways how to like hack it. If you do the Six Flags Magic Mountain scenario, you can simply delete a couple of rides from the start to repay your park loan. I won't be doing any of that per se. There are videos out there if you want to see how to do it, just so you can get through the scenarios quicker and beat the game. That's certainly a possibility, but I will actually be playing through the scenarios. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to open our park. And I think $10,000 to start is not bad. Let's go to research. You don't get many thrill rides in this scenario at all. So I guess we're going to go for the roller coasters, shops, and stalls. You do not get an information kiosk in this map. That is one of the most profitable stalls you can buy because it sells both the park maps and the umbrellas. Um, yeah, so we're given a wooden coaster to start and a junior coaster. The wooden coaster is very expensive. We probably wouldn't have much money left over if we were to build that right away. And you only get the scrambler or twist flat ride and the pirate ship. So I think we're going to start out a merry-go-round. And no, I'm not going for, build the merry-go-rounds to win type of thing here. I'm just going to build merry-go-rounds and make sort of a plaza. We opened our park. That's another thing to check for right away. Make sure the park is open. Some of them are already open and some of them are not by default. So that's something that you may be wondering, why is nobody coming in my park even after you built rides? It may be because the park is closed. So we're just going to build a simple merry-go-round here. A plaza that kind of loops around. Make sure we put the queue line in here. And then I'm just going to, let's see, loop this around like this. Oops. And please let me know, I do not have a second screen right now, so not many people are probably watching this, if any. But if the audio is too low or anything like that, please let me know. This is my first time kind of using Twitch and streaming, so I can definitely edit the options. As far as custom scenery goes and stuff like that, I probably won't be using it in the scenarios. Any custom stuff that people have made either through the community or OpenRCT2. And the reason for that is just because it wasn't included in the original game and you would have to research it anyways. So yeah, we have a merry-go-round. Oop. Always test your rides before opening at least a cycle. This way you'll get your ratings. Um, if you open your ride and it doesn't have a rating, people may not go on it until they see exactly what it does. But we're not going to get much money out of this ride. We'll charge $1 for it. The general rule of thumb, if you don't know, is you can charge about $1 for your excitement rating. So we'd be able to charge about $1.30 for this. I'll just leave it at $1. Let me make sure something really quick. Okay, that should be good. Um, yeah, so that's open. And one thing I'm going to do here, I will dress it up a little bit. I like to dress up my rides. We'll put some flowers in alongside of it. Switch it up a little bit here. Yeah, we'll use some of these, and on the back side of it, we'll put in some of these, maybe. Oops. And that just reveals that. Need to put path in there. So, not the prettiest. I would go for something a little bit more creative than that. But again, we are trying to beat the scenario here, which this one's very easy. I believe the guess requirement on this map is 250, and we're already at 27 just by opening a merry-go-round. So, and one of my fences is off there. There we go. So nice merry-go-rounds. I'm also going to hire a handyman and a mechanic. One nice thing about OpenRCT2, by default, either Roller Coaster Tycoon or the second one, the handyman would mow the grass. So, you would have dirty paths up here, but your handyman would be all the way out here mowing the grass. So it's always good, at least in scenario mode, to disable that so that they stay on the paths. They worry about watering gardens, sweeping, and emptying your trash bins. Um, Once again, I do apologize if you hear the laundry machine in the background there. I am in my basement and I had some laundry to do. It's probably going to get somewhat loud now because it's going into spin mode. But mowing grass, as far as that's concerned, I believe it may give you a modest boost to your park rating, but other than that, it really doesn't serve any purpose except it looks a little nicer. Um, so let's also add in here a bathroom. Um, we'll put it right about there. Again, I'm not going for custom buildings or anything. We're playing these games just to strictly win the scenarios, and maybe at a later time I'll come back and I will, dress things up and make it look nicer. Let's also add a food stand, or a drink stand rather, and a hamburger stand. It would have been nice to have the information kiosk because it would certainly allow guests to buy umbrellas here. But one thing to note as well, especially if you have a scenario where it rains a lot, guests will typically avoid outdoor rides when it is raining out. But something like a merry-go-round or a motion simulator where it's covered, they will flock to this ride, sort of. So Burger Bar will charge $2 for a burger, and drinks. I usually go with $1.50, $2. We'll try to see if guests will bite for that. Um, so yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and build just another small ride here. Just to get people coming in, I'll build a pirate ship right against the edge of the park. Entrance exit. Yep, and we'll build this just right against our midway here. I'll leave these trees here. Trees and other scenery items will add to the excitement of your rides. So the merry-go-round before I put in these flowers and the fencing was 1.37, and as you can see now 1.57. So I believe we could charge $1.50 for this now. But guests are already complaining they want to go on something more thrilling than the merry-go-round. We have 56 guests as of right now in the park. We need to get to 250. So let's test. We'll do 20 swings, and I'll just call it something like Viking. The colors look nice to me the way it is. We have our excitement rating, so we'll be able to charge about 250 for this ride. That should help bring the money in, especially considering a lot of these flat rides. They have an operating cost of $49.60 per hour. Generally, thrill rides will cost more than that, or roller coasters, I should say, custom track rides. And we don't really have here any other scenery. We do have the mine theming because it is used out here by this little lake. And it's quite interesting because a lot of parks will allow you to either buy land or buy construction rights for land. Forest Frontiers actually allows you to buy like an L shaped sort of leg out around this lake and back. But there's no reason, if you're doing this game strictly to beat the scenarios, why you would need to buy any land in this. It gives you enough space for what you need, 250 guests. And it seems like people are already enjoying our Viking ship. I'll put a little bit of fencing around that as well. We use sort of this mesh fence. Just close it in there. And maybe we'll go down the pathway here so that guests in real life, you would see it a pathway or fencing around pathways so guests don't wander, sort of thing. And I don't want to go overboard with the terraforming or anything like that, but maybe we'll put some. It's going to cost us a little bit of money. I don't really mind on this scenario. Put a little bit of rocks in there so that it looks a little more, I guess, professional in a way. And we'll add another tree like this to give a little bit of shade. All right, so considering we have stalls now, I want to add some trash bins and stuff so that people don't make a mess of the pathways. People generally like in this game if you put benches around eateries so that they can sit down and enjoy their food, sort of thing. So we'll put some trash bins in, put a couple benches here. Maybe a little bit asymmetrical, but that's okay. And I'll put some lamps in, sort of make it look a little bit nicer. And I believe uh, one, two. It's gonna be that's fine. It's gonna be odd numbered no matter which way I try it, but not going overboard. As you can see, we only spent about 3 grand there. We only have one of each staff, one mechanic, one handyman. That's all we need, and we're already, almost halfway to our goal. And we're only, I believe, the year starts in March, so we're only a month into the scenario here. So I'll just keep going along. We have the money to keep building. People are going to be spending money on these rides and these stands. Let's see what research has. Information kiosk. Okay, that's nice. So as of today, I think that's the next thing we'll build here is the information kiosk. It's always good to kind of put these in a corner so that the guests will have 2 ports of entry or more than 2 ports of entry. Because if a stand gets too busy, guests won't eat there and they'll either look for somewhere else to get their food or they just won't spend their money. They'll sort of get upset. For this scenario, I'm only going to go with the one, mainly because this won't be too busy of a map. Park map will charge $1.24, and umbrellas you can virtually charge. I think I was reading online you can virtually charge anything for these, but we'll go with $5 for an umbrella. And just open that. That will increase our sales. Almost everyone will buy a park map, and as far as umbrellas go, once it starts raining, people will buy them like hotcakes. Um, so next ride, let's go for a coaster. And as I said, I'll be doing the custom designs. So the junior coaster model is really nice. It's one of the cheaper coasters, but you can actually get a very decent excitement rating out of these. And the reason for that is you can either have one train operations and do multiple laps with it, or you can just put a bunch of twists and turns and drops in it as well. So I'm not going to go too intense here. I don't want to spend too much money. We'll have it go up about 40 feet. And then maybe it goes into sort of, yeah, that's perfect. A swooping drop down. This is similar to one of those Zero Tivoli roller coasters that a lot of parks have. Knott's Berry Farm has one in Jaguar. Six Flags Great Adventure, Harley Quinn Crazy Train, and a bunch of parks have them as kiddie coasters as well. They were popular in the 80s and 90s. But I think we'll do sort of a small hill off of the drop, and then we'll go into sort of a large helix. Okay, I have to go small with that. We'll go around once there, or twice rather. We'll drop off. We'll go into another sort of bunny hop hill here. And then we'll go around. So we'll do. Won't have enough room. Do a turn. We'll go. looking back now, I think these hills could have been a little bit bigger. They may be too small, but that's okay. And we'll just loop it right back around to the station. In fact, I may go for a diagonal here. Will this fit? Nope. Okay. Alright. And then we'll do some breaks. And I'm going to make the station just one block shorter. This way I can do a block section. We can run 2 trains on this. Entrance, exit. Perfect. So let's take a look here. So we go up to the hill 40 feet. We do a drop down into a hill, sort of a turnaround helix here, another hill, around into another hill, and then sort of a boring, bland, kind of straight section into a diagonal, but that's all right for all intents and purposes of this scenario. We'll name it Ladybug. I know, a very generic name, but this is a very generic scenario. We'll go with a kind of a mute red color here, maybe a mute yellow color. Yep, that's perfect, like a gold. As far as the entrance goes, we'll go with the jungle entrance, give it a little bit of theming. This way we get the covered station. And then the trains should be ladybug colored because it is a ladybug themed coaster. Trains, 2 trains, 7 cars. Oh, let's see here. Normally the trains will pop up if you edit. We'll go with 6 car trains. See how that looks. Yep, that's good enough. So this will allow us to have 2 trains running. This ride will be moving quite a bit. We'll get a lot of people through this ride. And as far as the queue line goes, go with the yellow. There we go. As far as fencing goes, maybe we'll go with this little brick sort of fencing here. And instead of enclosing the whole ride, I'm just going to build it right out to the park entrance there. Did something just glitch? Or am I just seeing things? Maybe we'll go for sort of a diagonal fence here. I know you can get diagonal fences by doing like a custom scenery type of deal, but I don't want to go too overboard with this. So we'll add some scenery into the infield of the coaster here. Right here, I'm just going to put some flowers near the queue line. Yeah, maybe we'll close it in with some flowers. And trees. I always liked these style of trees, so we'll put one in there. Some close to the turns. That will help boost the excitement rating ride. And we don't really have any scenery pieces. We just have the foliage and the flowers. So I don't know if we'll actually put anything into the ride here. Maybe along the breaks we'll do sort of these funky shaped trees. And then the infield of the ride, I may just give it some sort of muddy. Don't have to hit the whole thing here. Make it look kind of natural. Because let's be real, in nature, you don't have like square blobs like this cursor right here. You don't have square blobs of terrain. It's kind of, what's the word? It's kind of random and such things. And we're gonna have to stop because we only have $1,000 left here in the bank. So we have a rating in 4.5. That's not too bad. We'll get a lot of people through on this coaster, and as you can see, it has sort of a, oh my god, oh, that's why. I sped it up. I thought it was going really fast. Sort of a moderate rating for this coaster, or a moderate size, I should say. So it's a moderate running cost, but at 450 and two trains, we'll definitely get people through. And certainly the forces on this, it has a little bit of high laterals, but that's okay. You probably get most of it on the drop, considering it's not a banked drop. Um, but yeah, I think that looks decent right there. Not very light on the theming, but as you can see, we closed it in. We made it look a little bit nice. And we added some trees and foliage on the infield of the coaster. So that's all we need for this scenario. And you'll see very similarly in other scenarios. I won't go overboard with the scenery. If we ever revisit the parks, if I come back, if the scenario's already won and we want to just deck it out like a nice big park, I may go back and I may add more to this as we get more scenery in. But yeah, other than that, that's fine as it is. And I'm actually going to go to research here since we have the information kiosk. Let's just research general rides and roller coasters for now. We don't really need anything else. And I'm assuming with this coaster, this, as time goes on, this will push us over the threshold for what we need. So once we hit the threshold, I probably will go on to the next scenario. But we'll wait for the looping coaster to be researched here. It will be complete within the next couple days in game time, and we'll probably build one of those if our money goes back up a little bit. So we have a nice little midway right here. We have sort of, a kiddie ride or a family ride. They're all sort of family rides. Pirate ship carousel and a moderate 40-foot tall coaster that the whole family can ride. So the next ride will likely be our first thrill ride, quote unquote. I know that the pirate ship is linked with the thrill rides in this game, but pirate ships are usually considered family rides historically. So we have the looping coaster now, and in Roller Coaster Tycoon 1, the shuttle loop is one of the most popular designs to put in a game, mainly because it's cheap. As you can see, even with our low amount of cash, we could afford the shuttle loop here. Um, but it is also a very quick coaster. It's a very big profiter because again, you can charge 430 without any scenery around it. A lot of people can push these over the $5 range, and you can get people on and off of this like crazy, make a lot of money. We don't really have money for any of these larger designs, nor do I think it's necessary to put one of these in. Um, I might go for Turbine here. I know we don't have the scenery. Turbine is from what is now Walibi, Belgium. It's either Walibi, Belgium, or Holland. I believe it's the Belgium park. Um, Very classic Schwarzkopf shuttle loop coaster, and the interior of the coaster, the loop is actually enclosed, and they just converted it from a flywheel launch to an electromagnet launch a few years ago. The shuttle loop from Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 isn't very typical because it doesn't have that second spike for you to go up. So I may go with Turbine here. Um, we don't have the money for it, so I may just take out a little bit extra loan. Not something I'll be doing in every single scenario, but just for this game. And this ride will take up a huge portion of the space we have in this park, whereas the generic shuttle loop would not take up as much. So I might actually build it next to. I don't know if I want to do that or not. Let's turn it this way. Yeah, that's good enough. I don't want to extend this midway too much without having anything out here, but that's fine. Um, we'll build it out this way. Just have that path meet there. Let's go with a green queue line. And that should be long enough, sort of. And one other thing I'll do is, so we have two avenues for guests to walk here. We'll just extend this midway around, make sort of a loop. One thing you want to be aware of, as you start to have larger parks and more people walk through it, is these one by one pathways will begin to become very crowded. And guests will actually make complaints about it. If you go to the guest screen here and you see guests by summarized thoughts, they're not saying it yet, but like one person here, it's too crowded here, and they're walking right by this area. So there may have just been a big lump, like right here, a big lump of people walking around. So it's a good idea to make sort of 2x2 or 3x3 sort of pathways to give guests a little bit more breathing room. But as for this ride, let's go ahead and test it out. Got a colorful train, and it's a sort of a green foresty color. Just get it tested. 47-mile-an-hour launch, so about a 15-mile-an-hour launch. And we'll see what the excitement rating comes up to. I'm sure that these trees around the ride will add a little bit to it. 4.78. So again, we can charge about $4.50 for it, which definitely, if it's a high capacity ride such as this, that's not bad at all. It is, of course, only one train, but that's fine. All right, sorry about that. Just had a bit of a distraction, and I had to put some laundry in the dryer. I know that was a very abrupt stop. I apologize for that, but we'll keep going here. Um, we're almost there, 214 guests, so this ride will surely put us over pretty quickly. In fact, I'm just going to open it right now. Um, and as for the name of the ride, I don't know. Um, Shotgun. I have no clue. That's not a very creative name, but I was trying to think of a foresty theme for a ride that launches. I don't know. Um, so as far as fencing the ride goes, go with this mesh again, I guess. Sort of just close it. It's nice because this is a 1x1 ride. So it's not going to take up much fencing here. So sort of build this like this. Yep. On this side. Can't see. Alright. So some very crude sort of bad fencing just to enclose the ride. I don't really like how it looks, but it is what it is. We're 5 people away from our goal. So I think that once we hit the goal, we're just gonna fast forward. At least on this scenario, we'll fast forward until we win. Just to put us way over the edge here, I'm gonna put in a scrambler ride. Sure, why not? And we just hit our goal, so park rating is 836. I may just add another handyman, another mechanic, just to keep things going smoothly here. Another very creative name here, Scrambler. We'll go with that. Colors. Why not a yellow? Oh, and as for this ride, I was actually gonna change the entrance to the wooden style. This one will leave generic. Um, 18 rotations will get us the highest excitement rating here. Look at these guests. They're already taking pictures of Scrambler. They're excited to ride it before it even opens. We'll do some light hedge fencing here. Sorry, just got in front of your picture. Some light hedge fencing. Maybe here we'll put in some of these types of shrubs. In fact, we may be able to do the the random tool is a little bit too big for this ride. So I'll just randomly plop in. Or you know what? I've got an even better name for this ride. Weed Whacker. Perfect. And maybe we'll give it sort of is there a dark? Yeah, perfect. So we'll be able to charge $250 for this ride as well. These pay per ride scenarios are very nice because people generally won't leave your park until they're out of money or they've ridden most of the rides. Whereas a scenario where it's pay to enter, your rides are going to cost you money. You're not going to make money back on it. The only thing you're going to make money off of is your entrance tickets and your concession sales. But these scenarios, guests will typically stay until they're out of money. And if you have a cash machine, you may be able, if the guest is having a good enough time in your park, you may be able to get them to use the cash machine and stay a little bit longer till they get on everything that they want to get on. But so our guest count is still going up here. I'll just add some more benches and trash cans and such things here. Some benches. Guests also like, especially if you have a park. This park not so much because it's a very flat landscape. But if you have a very large park or a park with a lot of terrain, guests will like benches for a couple of reasons. They'll like it because A, they will not be so fatigued. Like these people are here, they're sitting down. If they go and get something to eat or drink, they may like to sit down and enjoy it. Also, if you can see this little guy's face is sort of green, he's ready to throw up. Sometimes guests can relieve their nausea if they get off a very fast powered thrill ride. That's some benches here as well. Yep, see that guy's gonna sit down and try to relieve his nausea. Um, add some more lamps. Really have anywhere there to add them. And just get rid of those benches to add some lamps in. As far as lamps go, I don't know if they serve any purpose because, of course, well, OpenRCT2 does have a night version of the game. It's experimental, but I don't know if lamps add to your park rating or not. But they are certainly, if guests are getting upset in your park, whether you don't have enough bathrooms or food stands or stuff for them to do, they may get upset and start breaking your benches, trash cans, lamps. Typically, in the easier scenarios, such as Forest Frontiers, and I'll add another handyman. Seems justified. Guests will start to break your path items in your parks if they get upset. So that can be detrimental towards your park rating if someone's walking down a midway and a bunch of lamps are busted and trash cans knocked over, sort of thing. Um, so I think we're more than good here. I'm just gonna hyperspeed this right to the end of October. Um, 29th. Come on, clock. First. And right about now, we should be, yep, getting the prompts that we won this level. So, yeah, Forest Frontiers is as general as they get. There is actually a tutorial scenario in this game, but I believe it actually uses the Forest Frontiers park. If you're struggling with the scenario, maybe Roller Coaster Tycoon isn't the game for you. But as you can see, with a very low, we can actually even repay most of our loan now and still make money. Um, yeah, it's very general. You don't have to add a lot. We could have gotten by probably just with what we have right here, the shuttle coaster not included, and been well over that 200 guest threshold. Just with a handful of rides, we have pretty much almost double of what we needed. So yeah, we'll save this game as don't have a Forest Frontiers. And if you're wondering what all these weird things are here on the side, that's for my WWE 2K19. These are all the mods I use for them. Um, so yeah, we'll go on to the next one here. That didn't take long at all. And the next one is Dynamite Dunes. So this is actually one of the parks. I used to play this game nonstop for hours and hours when I was a kid. And this was a scenario that sort of gave me some trouble. Um, I don't know why. It's not a very high guest requirement. As you can see, we almost hit it there in Forest Frontiers in just a year. We were only a couple hundred guests off. But this is a 3 year scenario, 600 park rating, so pretty general. I think my problem was with the scenario when I was younger. I didn't understand the concepts of money, and I didn't know how to, put down benches and put down enough stalls and stuff for your guests to enjoy. So I may be able to crack the 650 guest requirement, but as time goes on, I go into year three, and my guest count starts dropping. But of course, since then, I've been able to beat the scenario many times. But we'll play through it just for the sakes of this stream. All right, the cheats that I had enabled carried over, so that's good. One of the challenging things about this park is you don't get too much room. This is probably a very similar size map to Forest Frontiers, obviously a little bit bigger, but you have this big sand dune here to work around, and you have this one here. So the only flat land you have is right up here at the front of the park, and you do have a little bit back here as well, but it's kind of a squeeze to get anything in there. Dynamite Blaster is a very good coaster. We do have the brakes failure disabled, but this is a coaster that's very prone to crash if you're playing in the original Roller Coaster Tycoon. So one thing we're going to do right off the bat here, even though we have brake failures disabled, um, we're just going to build. Uh, we're just going to build some black brakes just to make it a little bit more realistic. Um, I believe that this will shorten us, yep, to 2 trains, but we can lengthen the trains a little bit. Exit not yet built. Okay. Oh, shoot. So I guess that I got rid of the exit when I shortened the station length. So these guys are going to get lost for a second here. We'll just extend it this way and boom, go there with that. I guess we'll extend that one more block. We'll test it. This is a very good coaster because it has a very high excitement rating. But if you're playing in the original Roller Coaster Tycoon, as I said, it's very prone to crash. And the thing about coasters crashing is people will not ride them for a long time. So this may be the top revenue getting ride in your park. But if it crashes and guests aren't riding it for months within game time, that can be a very high loss in terms of money and guests. So we'll wait and see how that performs. One thing I am going to do here is because we're going to be getting a lot of guests, expecting a lot of guests in our park, just going to extend this midway. And I'm going to do that just by building around the trees. We don't want to spend more money on removing the trees. This will look very messy, but there is a rhyme and reason behind it, if you will. So there we go. Just giving the guests some more path space here because we will need it later down the scenario. This will keep a 1x1 for right now. We will extend it later, but this will just give our guests. Oh shoot, and we didn't even go into research yet. We don't have the information kiosk, so we will leave shops and stalls enabled. Water rides, what do we have? We do have a log flume, so I will disable that. In terms of thrill rides, yeah, we'll leave that on. Gentle rides, transport rides, we'll increase the funding for that. Um, and I will add a bathroom. We'll add it right near the entrance here, just because we're gonna need one. As far as drinks and stuff like that go, we'll add a burger bar. We'll add drink stall right near the entrance. Remember to increase the price so we can maximize our profit on these items. It's funny because in this game, like if you increase your price probably anywhere past $2, $2.50, guests won't pay for it and they'll say it's too expensive. But if people were going to a theme park and there were $2 drinks and $2 hamburgers, they would be jumping with joy because you'd spend for a drink and a hamburger and fries probably $8 to $10 nowadays. Okay. So we'll build our first ride. We'll just build a scrambler here, some of the flat space, give the guests something to do in the front end of the park. And we got to remember here, Dynamite Blaster, gotta open it 6.65. So we'll be able to charge about 650 for this ride. That will help us big time because we've already spent about $3 grand in just a scrambler, paths, and a food stall. And in fact, I probably should have added a photo spot on this ride as well to increase the profits a little bit more, but that's all right. This thing will make us money. Oops. Get rid of that. Build a pathway here. There we go. I don't believe, nope, there's no staff in this park, so we'll add a couple mechanics and some handymen as well, just to get us going. Let's connect this right here. That'll look better. Um, Increase the rotations on this guy. And we'll call it Sahara Scrambler. Change the colors. That looks pretty good. Sort of a gold and a yellow, or a brownish yellow. And I think we'll actually do some music on this one. There's an Egyptian one which will fit in with the theme of this park. There we go. And we can charge about $2 for this. I'm thinking though, if we add some cacti around the ride, I already have some palm trees up here. How did they get? Oh, it's lumped in there. So maybe we'll add. Let's see here. Add some of these. Don't know if that'll do much for 244. Yeah, so we'll still charge $2 to go on this. $2 or 250 is pretty standard for a scrambler ride in the game. And again, it would have been nice to have the information kiosk to sell some umbrellas in here. So 75 guests in the park. We're gonna have to keep building, and we do have the money to do so. Um, we'll build a carousel around here. So some people will wonder in this game, um, generally people will not go on the gentle rides. They'll have a much less popularity than the thrill rides do. So people wonder, well, why should I even bother building a merry-go-round? Not many people are going to go on it. Well, the answer is that guests do like variety in parks. You will get a better park rating. You will have more people come in if you have something for everybody. Some people may go on gentle roller coasters, but they may not go on something like, let's say, Dynamite Blaster. So they will go on the less intense rides. Um, so it's good to have a balance. We'll go 15 rotations. See what that gives us in terms of excitement. It's probably only going to be $1.50 type of deal. Maybe we'll add this little fountain right here, this little Egyptian style fountain. Yeah, we don't really have any good theming here, unless we do sort of. Do one of these around it. And we just researched the junior roller coaster, which will be good for us. As you saw in Forest Frontiers, they do have potential to make you a lot of money. Yeah, nothing special, just a little bit of, I guess, fencing around the ride, or a little bit of a wall. And I like the orange on this. The orange was the default color that they gave me, and we'll theme it a little bit. We'll do a camel go round. So instead of horses, maybe you're on a camel. And we're only going to get $1 out of this. And we'll disable music considering the Scrambler ride has it. The weird thing about the merry-go-round is you can only play the fairground or the traditional merry-go-round music. You can't play other versions, so the Scrambler will have to pump out some sound. So I'll just pause it for a second here. So we're already running out of flatlands. We put in a couple flat rides. We have a little bit of space here and a decent chunk here. So we're gonna have to start getting creative and probably using these sand dunes as a base for some rides. A coaster would be a good idea to put in this space because we can build it, we can tunnel it, and we can build a good portion of it within the sand dune. It would really add to the excitement rating, but also it wouldn't take up as much space. It would bring a lot of people into the park, sort of deal. Um, and money wise, we still have a decent chunk of money here. I don't know what the loan allows us to take out in this park, but we'll cross that bridge when it's time. So now we have three roller coasters. We have the wooden coaster, which again would be very expensive. It would take up a lot of space, which I don't know we have. The junior coaster would be something that we can afford right now, and we already do have the mine train coaster, which is a little more pricey, and Dynamite Blaster definitely is a good ride. One thing I will do now that we have a little bit of money, I will do an advertising campaign for Dynamite Blaster. I don't know how old it is in game time, so I don't know how much it was built this year. So we'll do an advertising campaign. Oh god, you can do it all the way up to 12 weeks. We'll do 6 weeks, spend $1,200 to advertise this ride, maybe bring some people out to the park. And that leaves us with about 5 grand, so we can certainly begin constructing the junior coaster. As far as the station for this ride goes, this is where it gets a little bit dicier. If I build the station platform starting up here, guests will have to walk all the way up the sand dune to get to it. If I build it down here, I probably won't have enough room to sort of loop it around or build a queue line and all that stuff. Back here is very close to Dynamite Blaster, which is an ideal. So we'll build it. I may have to build it back here. Or I don't want to spend too much money in land forming here. But if I bring this down just a notch, it will give us the appropriate space for a queue line. Yeah, we'll just bring all these guys down one notch. We'll sort of create a face there. Um, yeah, and let's start. Yeah, like that. Start there. And we're going to run into a problem there, so we'll have to start going upwards. And this is going to cost us a lot of money because we're going to start running into a problem here. In fact, I'm going to see if I can. Okay, no. A little too short for that. Let's take a look, see what we can do. Okay, so that'll work. Maybe we swoop down a little bit. Go a little drop there. And maybe then we take this turn. Like that. Drop down. And then here is where we're going to start the tunnel. Raise or lower land first. Okay. So let's see what problems we get here. Yep, that'll allow us to start tunneling. And maybe we just go down a huge drop in here, sort of do an indoor portion of the ride. Some bunny hops within the hill here. We do a big one here. And then I think let's get rid of underground view. Let's pop out of. Oh god, we're running out of money already. We may have to increase that loan. And maybe then we just do sort of a kind of double up, double down. Bunch of hills here. We drop back down to ground level. We have enough room. We'll have to go with a short turn here. We'll only go up 2 and down 2 because we want to fit in our block breaks. I don't know how long of trains we're going to be able to do here. We might have to remove one of our station portions. And another thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add some sort of Egyptian tomb style tunneling. It's going to cost us a little bit of money, but it'll look better. Okay. So yeah, this coaster sort of takes advantage of the terrain. It uses the curved lift hill to go up the sand dune, and then it actually, about half of the ride or so takes place underneath there. It'll add to our thrill or excitement ratings rather, and I'm just gonna dress this up a little bit here. There we go. And I could be wrong. Is there an Egyptian style? There's a castle. This isn't a medieval park, but this will certainly serve the purposes of what we're trying to do with it. We'll be able to get 2 trains on this, 7 cars. How does it look? Okay, so a little bit weird. The last car is kind of hanging there on the final drop into the brakes, but that's okay. And I believe I'm gonna theme this coaster to sort of mummies, mummy madness. I don't know. So we can probably, instead of ladybug themes, yeah, we can make it look like a mummy. Maybe we go with a yellow there. The track color, I kind of like the way it looks as it is. And we'll test this bad boy out. Q line we won't get. In fact, I'm going to bring it out the other way so we can extend it a little bit. Alright, and a path. Plunk that there. No test results yet, so we'll wait a moment on that. So we almost have 200 people in the park. We're doing just fine here. It is only in May of year 1, so I'm sure when this coaster opens, we'll be able to get about 400 people or so. It'll be 2/3 of our way to the goal. In this portion of the park, I'll probably build a log flume or some sort of water ride, put down a couple more flat rides, and maybe try to squeeze in a coaster back here of some sorts. That should be more than enough to meet our goal. I'm pretty happy with how this came out. Again, not the greatest coaster in the world, but it sort of takes advantage of its terrain. It goes into the sand dune to help conserve some space and bring up the excitement rating. 4.84. I was expecting a little bit more out of it, but we'll be able to get 450 out of it, which isn't bad. So we'll open it. I wish we had some sort of Egyptian theming or something that would fit here, because we would be able to get a little bit more excitement out of it with that. I mean, maybe if I add some cacti to the infield right here. Let's actually do the random tool. Oh god, we're totally out of money. All right, so we'll revisit that idea. We'll see what we have with this. So now I think it's a good idea, if we have the money, which we don't. We're going in the red here very quickly. Put in some benches, just because this ride, Dynamite Blaster, will... Oh god, we're totally out of money. Okay, so I'm going to increase this loan just a bit. We'll end up repaying it. That's one hard thing about this park is with the terrain involved, you do run out of money very quickly. Um, add some of these back here as well. Considering we have a hill, we'll add some over here. We'll add some bins. I'm going to hold off on adding lights or lamps or anything such as that until we get some more money rolling. And we'll add some of these benches within our main plazaway right here, right near the food stalls, so that the guests can enjoy the food. We'll add them right in there. Oh, and I like that. We'll do the bins right on the sort of pathways, or the verticals of the pathways, I should say. Okay. So I wasn't sure exactly what we researched while I was building that coaster. Oh, great, we do have the information kiosk. So this is nice right here because we have 4 entrance ways. This will help us bring in some money. Um, so yeah, we'll charge 5 for the umbrella, $1.20 for the map. We did in the last scenario. This will make its money back in no time. I assume that a lot of the people in the park aren't buying food or drinks yet because the park just opened a little while ago. But this is a good sight to see. A lot of people are coming into the park. So, as I said, probably with this coaster open, we should expect about 400, 450 guests total within the park. We had just about this amount of rides. We had 2 coasters and a couple of flat rides, 3 flat rides, I believe, um, in Forest Frontiers, and that's what we had at the end of the year. So we'll continue with the advertising campaigns. We'll keep building some rides, and the 650 guests will be no problem coming up here within a couple of years. And we're still early in the first year of play, so that's good to see as well. All right, advertising campaign for Dynamite Blaster is finished, so we'll do Mummy Madness for 6 weeks. It is a new ride. We'll try to pull in as many people as possible for this. And it is a slightly lower capacity coaster. I know I only have the 6-car trains going 840 per hour. Isn't terrible, but it's definitely not great. But as you can see, we don't have a lot of guests in the park yet, so the line is moving along just fine. Queue time is at 1 minute. Generally, guests, if the queue time gets to be 10 minutes or over, that's when they get really mad. They may leave the line. But 1 minute is just fine. The trains are moving. It's a fairly short coaster. And as for Dynamite Blaster, same thing. It doesn't have a line. It's filling those longer trains, so we're doing pretty good in that department. All right. Let's check something here. Good. All right. We're doing great. I was just checking my stream stuff. As I said, this is my first time streaming on Twitch, so I'm not expecting viewers, but I'm hoping that everything with my computer and that it's not like RCT2 is a very hardware, a grueling game for your hardware, but just want to make sure that everything is on, activated, and it's going fairly well. So it's a good thing that we extended these pathways. It may look like there's a lot of people here, but the big thing is you don't want a lot of these people on one block of tile going like that. There are a lot of people on the main midway, but they're all sort of spread out throughout these paths. You don't want to make it too complex so that people are getting lost, but considering this is right by the park entrance and there is sort of a direct pathway to the park exit, um, and there is an info kiosk right there, people will not get lost in this, and it will help spread them out. We have the 2x2 pathway here, and not many people are going back to Dynamite Blasters, so the one across pathway will do fine for just now. Okay, so I think it's time to build another ride. Yeah, this is exactly what I was expecting. Once again, the Pirate Ship and the Scrambler are the only 2 flat rides we have that are considered thrill rides. I don't think I want to build a car ride or a haunted house. We could go with a log flume. That may be the next major ride we build here. Um, but this is sort of a smaller park, a cheaper park, so we'll build another flat ride in here. Let me think about where I want to put it really quickly. You know what? Let's build it back by Dynamite Blaster. Maybe we'll be able to bring some more people in this way. Am I able to put that there? Yeah. All right. Q line. We'll go with a green. No, that'll be too long. You definitely don't want to make your queue lines too long for your rides because if too many people are in it, especially a flat ride like this where I like to run a longer cycle to make more money, people will wait in line. They certainly will go in your line and they will wait too long. So we'll do 20 swings. I believe that's what we did um, in Forest Frontiers. And Chance Rides actually makes a pirate ship called Pharaoh's Fury. And that's perfect for this. We'll sort of theme it. So the end should be sort of gold. Yep. And maybe we'll do, yeah, we'll do a sort of a mute kind of yellow color. These are actually, I want to say that they're white usually. And the white looks pretty good. Okay, 250 we can charge. We'll see if we can get away with that as is. I will add a couple of, again, it's kind of unfortunate that we don't really have any Egyptian scenery pieces, but I don't want to waste money on researching theming here. So we'll put in a couple of cactuses. 250 is kind of the very borderline of what we can charge. If we charge anything more, people will go on the ride, but as it starts to age, they'll definitely say that they don't want to pay that much to go on it. So yeah, that very slightly the cacti added to our excitement rating. So 250 will probably be a good price to charge initially. And as time goes on, we may have to decrease that to $2. And I'm actually going to add the Dynamite Blaster here. I will add the castle theming. I know that, again, it's not a medieval themed park, but this will certainly look better than the generic no roof station. If you really think hard, I guess you can kind of imagine it to be sort of a tomb style um, entrance exit. Okay. And in fact, one other thing I want to do here is I want to add a different kind of. Yeah, that was nice. I wasn't all that creative with the theme of the camel go rounds, but we'll give it a little bit of texture, make it look a little bit different. All right, so 361 guests, or is that? Yeah, that's 61. Scrambler's line is completely depleted, and people are waiting for Mummy Madness now. 4 minute queue time, that is just fine. Again, it's when it starts to get over 9 minutes, 10 minutes or so is when people start to get a little bit angry. Um, and for this area of the park, I know I'm kind of spending money here on something that we don't need. I always never liked the sand look in Roller Coaster Tycoon. I think it's a little bit gaudy looking. So for a little oasis area here, a little front entrance, we'll add some dirt and kind of brown it out a little bit and make it look a little bit cozier. All right. So suspended swinging coaster is not something that I was looking for. Let's get rid of shops and stalls here. We do have an ice cream stall that we haven't used yet. I don't I don't think with the size of this map that we'll need anything more than these five we have right here. We have the burgers. Fruity ices can be considered sort of both a drink and a food stall. It's a dessert ice cream, so I have seen people buy them. I believe if they're thirsty as well as hungry. Normal drink stall always works well, and then we do have the info kiosk. We'll only need one, and the generic bathroom, which we'll probably put another one in at the farther end of the map. So we'll keep researching roller coasters and thrill rides. Hopefully, we'll get some more thrill rides or flat rides. I believe that the swinging inverter ship, otherwise known as the Huss Ranger, as well as the Huss Topspin, or I forget what it's called in this game. It may be called Topspin, but I believe those are two thrill flat rides that are able to be researched in this scenario. The swinging inverter ship generally does very well. You can charge some money for it, but the topspin ride, you run into either it being too intense or it's very low capacity as well. For some reason, when they built, or not when they built, but when they designed this game, they decided that a Huss Topspin should only have 8 seats, and its program should be so intense that nobody wants to ride it. I don't know why, but that's just the way they did it. Um, So yeah, in terms of coasters, we don't really have any other options. The wooden coaster and the suspended coaster will both be expensive to build. The suspended coaster, you often run into the problem of it being too intense, and it tends to take up a lot of space. The wooden coaster, they're very enjoyable for people in this game. They often get very high ratings for very little effort, but they do cost a lot of money to run and maintain. Um, so yeah, I didn't realize that our loan interest would be this small, so we even have the option of taking out some more money if need be. But for right now, we have a little bit. I'd really like to put another flat ride in. Oh, you know what else I was going to put in? I was going to put in the log flume. So I'll probably design a custom log flume here, right in this area. Those generally do very well also in terms of generating guests and being popular rides that you can charge some money for. So where are we? July year one. We're almost at 400 guests. We're gonna go right in and we're gonna build this log flume. We need some more people in the park. Do a custom designed one. In fact, one thing I'm gonna do right here is, considering we have this little divot, I'm just gonna raise that into some water. That will help sort of be theming for our log flume in a way. And the station, I'm just gonna build right back here. I think we'll go right into a hell. I don't want to do that. Do I? Here's what we're going to do. Build out a couple blocks. Go up about 20 feet. And then we'll go into our first drop. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually tunnel it. This will help us kind of preserve space a little bit. Oh god. Why won't it let me? Or I can go down. There we go. Down into a little surprise drop. And we spent about half of our money now. Ooh, I actually have a very good idea. We'll start coming back up. Where are we? What block are we on? Okay, so we should be at this guy right here. Okay. And we'll go up about 50 feet. Too high for supports. Okay. So now... okay. I'll disable support limits for this. It's not unheard of that a log flume goes up 50 feet. And we're going to overshoot our station a bit here. But that's no problem. We'll just loop it around there a little bit. Okay, so we have a couple drops. We have sort of an elevated section into our first drop. It's about a 25-foot drop. We loop around, go into a small surprise dip in the tunnel, turn around, and then up to the main drop of the ride, down, splash, and back to the station. So that's perfect. We spent, we have a tad bit of money left over, which is good to see. All right. And I may have to sacrifice here our little fountain so that I can build. And what I'm going to do, this little brick wall is going to look a lot better now because I'm going to loop it around the carousel. Don't want to do that. We'll leave that for a second. All right. Queue line for our log flume. And then what we'll do is we'll actually create a little plaza here. We'll be able to put something in there, whether it's a shop or an ice cream stand or something. And well, gives our guests a little bit more room to breathe and a little bit more room to move around. 16 boats, how many will that? Oh god, that's too many. That's going right up on. So I might actually extend the station and block here. 24 boats, okay. Let's start with 10 and see where that gets us. Alright, that's pretty good. So they spill out a little bit, but that's fine. I'll give it the castle entrance here, make it look a little bit nicer. And we'll test it. We'll see how it does. So, ooh, and we can actually put a couple of these fountains in our little reservoir there. I would like, because log flumes, of course, typically have a big reservoir or they have a big body of water that they splash down into, but we don't have the money and that would cost a lot to build sort of big reservoir through here. So this was a simple way, using the land we were given, to kind of put in a little bit of water right there. And maybe we'll add some cattails around this little lake. Sort of random. Cool. And I will also sort of add some color around. Pretty good. And again, we don't have any Egyptian pieces or anything like that, so maybe we add some cactuses rounds, turnarounds here, just to give people something a little bit to look at as they go around the flume. And for the name of this, we'll call it not Niler, Nile River Run. Oh, and I actually have crocodiles are, no, it's an alligator, but crocodiles are common animals in the Nile River. So we'll add those to the queue line. Fencing. Let's just add this sort of fencing. We'll fence it to the park entrance there. Then as for this, we'll just fence it off. Yeah, we'll just do something like that. That'll look nice. We'll add some small little shrubs in here. Looks good. Add some here. Cool. 4.72, not bad. So we'll be able to charge 450 for this. This should push us over the 500 guest threshold, and I'm also gonna. We don't have too much money left, but I'm also gonna advertise this ride just to try to pull as much money out of it as possible. So I like the way it came out. Not the most creative flume ride out there, but definitely serves the purpose. It's about proper length, and I'm actually gonna add this brick sort of brick tunneling to our tunnels. There we go. So hopefully the line doesn't get too long for this. Typically, typically the log flume rides will get pretty long, and that's just because you're limited to how many boats you can have on the ride at once. They're sort of slower moving rides, except for on the drops, the lift hills, and the normal sections of track typically move slower than they would in real life. But add a little bit of color in here as well. I think that's appropriate. I'm actually gonna. I'll bring this right out to the park. I know we're wasting some money here, but I think it just looks nicer, and we'll stop spending money. Um. Okay. So I'm gonna hire another mechanic and a couple more handymen. Our park is kind of growing in size, so we'll need a few more of those. As far as this map goes, when we get into more complex maps, I will probably add zones for the mechanics and the handymen to be in. But we only have this midway right here and this little leg right here, so they probably don't need zones right now. If I just have 5 handymen and 3 mechanics, that'll be good enough. New coaster, stand-up coaster again. That is a little bit out of the price range that I'm looking for right now. So we won't use that. And what I'm going to do actually is let's get rid of roller coasters. Let's research just thrill rides for now because we've been getting a lot of coasters lately. Ooh, I'm going to add some fencing right here as well, just because we have the coaster right there. Make it look a little more realistic. Fence it in. I love, however, when I'm putting fencing up, I kind of block in the people taking the pictures of the ride. And we'll build this right out to the park entrance here. We'll do it on this side too, just to be symmetrical with it. This way it also kind of adds a barrier between our dirt terrain and the sand. There we go. Looks pretty good. Like the way it's coming out. Got some rocks in here. Actually, we'll do it all the way up here. A little bit diagonal ends. Cool. All right. Let me get my bearings together here for a second. So yeah, I think next thing I'm gonna do, I believe I saw that go-karts. Yes, go-karts were researched there while we were building the log flume. Um, Go-karts typically do very well in this game. Um, a lot of people will desire to go on them if you have them in your park. And this is sort of a good little flat space right here. We can build a station area, we can bring it out a little bit, maybe go around here. I may have to edit this pathway. Um, In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. We'll bring it in one block or a couple. All right. This way, it just allows us to kind of go around the sand dune. I don't believe I'm actually